enough, I think. It's enough, I think.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Live stream. I'm your host, Edie Arndell, and this is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Scott Free. How's it going, Scott?
Doing good, doing good.
We have a very wonderful guest today, or tonight, Sarah Maria. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just joined the Maryland Greens, and you do like kind of more of a long form videos on your YouTube channel, which don't have the right thing up. I apologize.
Oh,
I got
we
all
got
excited
Andy
about
Ellis,
the Andy
though.
Ellis thing.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk
so
about Andy later.
Being in Maryland, yeah, you help out Andy Ellis occasionally. So
Yes.
so I wanted to ask you, what made you decide to be green?
Yeah, so I am newly green. I actually just started getting affiliated with the Green Party earlier this year. So in January, a friend of mine named Ariel, who I think you guys might know him.
He's our producer.
Yes. So Ariel is the one that invited me onto the show. And he's also the one that invited me to my first Green Party event, which was in January of this year. So he came across one of my YouTube videos. Like you mentioned, I make YouTube videos. He came across one of them and then ended up messaging me on Instagram and then told me a little bit about the work that he's doing and that, I'd be interested or, based on the politics and my ideas that I express in my videos, he was like, you would probably be interested in the Green Party. And obviously I've heard of the Green Party before that too. And, but I've never really been involved with it. So yeah, in January, I went to the campaign launch for Andy Ellis, which was in Annapolis. Yeah, so that was the first time that I met Andy, and he's running for governor of Maryland under the Green Party. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been getting more involved with the local Green Party. It's super small because Maryland is a really blue state, but we're getting there, slow and steady. But yeah, so now I'm helping Andy out with social media campaigning, helping out with some Instagram strategy and video editing, and also trying to just promote some of our events that I can make it to. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got involved.
Excellent. Yes. Welcome to the Green Party. Yay.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Scott's been here for a while. I joined in July of last year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of like you always know they're there, but you think, well, because they don't get the press, you almost forget until presidential election. So that myth of that we go away is not true. They just don't cover us until they want to pick on us or whatever.
Exactly.
But I voted for Nader in 2000. And I've been sharing the movie. It's free on YouTube, called An Unreasonable Man, that tells kind of the story of Ralph Nader. And one thing that I really like that his father used to do, he'd sit everybody down at the dinner table and ask the kids, "What did you learn in school today? Did you learn how to believe, or did you learn how to think?" And that explains him completely.
Yep,
And I
sure.
wish more people were doing that now.
Yeah, I need to watch that video. I really have to watch it.
Yeah, it's a couple hours, but it's fun.
Yeah, but because I was saying to Edie that I think everyone in the Green Party should watch it because people come from different places at different times, and as far as what Edie said, it's a really good example of the Green Party and how the Green Party is attacked by the outside, and what it's I'm sure it's filled with a lot of lessons on what we need to be careful of as we move forward, because the environment is really, really rich for the Green Party right now because things are going so bad. And the Democrats, especially, everyone keeps saying, Congress do something, and they're doing nothing. So I think it's a real opportunity, for the Green Party. So yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't recommend it. I'm gonna, I'm gonna recommend I watch it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think you have a lot in common with the way Ralph Nader approached things. He's responsible for our safety belts, And you've been talking about fast fashion. Can you tell us a little bit
Oh,
about that? I've never really heard that phrase before.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can talk about fast fashion all day. So, yeah, that's actually like what I started making video essays on. So, I just started doing like these type of long form videos like 6 months ago, and my first one was about fast fashion. So basically, the term refers to this like corporate complex of just like overproducing clothing and encouraging overconsumption, which largely happens in the West at the expense of, or I guess largely happens in the global North at the expense of the global South with regards to like the whole supply chain and then like end of life for clothing. Like all of it ends up getting sent to the global South where it piles up in landfills. While we here just continue to engage in like this mindless overconsumption and like disposability culture. Um, so yeah, that's something that I have personally been thinking about for a long time. And so for years I've been engaging in like secondhand shopping myself and trying to encourage those around me to do it because there's already so much that has been produced. But I think for the past few years, it was more like a personal decision and it was just a fun thing for me to do, like secondhand shopping. But now it's more about like a statement where I'm just trying to teach others that like this is a system that we can't continue to just be complicit in and just continue to be buying from these corporations that don't actually care about the environment or human beings. And at the end of the day, like money talks. So where we spend our money or where we decide to withhold our money is what will kind of pressure for like positive change. So yeah, that's a lot of like the research that I do and the videos that I make is about that, just about trying to expose these wrongdoings um, from all corporations. Fast fashion corporations are one of them, but there's so many. Like the chemical industry is another one that I talk about too, because that kind of goes hand in hand with fast
Yeah.
fashion, you know, with like modern production of clothing, all these chemicals going into our clothes that are then going into the environment. And then when they get thrown away, those chemicals are seeping into the land and the water. So it's just, there's like, it's problematic all around to me. And I feel like it's a relatively easy decision to make for us as consumers to just not engage in that and to not, you know, put our money towards upholding that oppressive system. So, yeah.
Yeah.
If I could give my experience, yeah, I've been doing, I mean, I would say 99% of my clothes are thrift. And that had to do with being poor, right? And I never thought of it politically. And then I saw like a sign one time about, how it's really, really good for so many reasons. It's anti-capitalist, it's good for the environment. It's like, oh my God, I had no idea. And in Chicago, I swear, I lived in New York for a while, but back and forth from Chicago. And Chicago has had the best thrift stores for decades. I mean, just incredible. And so right. It's also been really fun. I mean, it is really, really cool. And so for me, like, and it's pretty easy to thrift store shop because I'm 6'5". And so all I do is I just scan where the arms are like this much further down than anybody else, or the legs are this much further down than anybody. So it's really easy for me. I was like, there it is. There it is.
I like to call, I mean, I was kind of raised that way. My great aunt, that was what they did. I would go to their house, to be piles of clothes, and they got it all from Goodwill. I'm like, hey, I think this will fit you, and plus you save so much money.
Oh my
And
God.
a lot of those places, like there's one here in Carbondale, I think it's called Tropicana. It's next to our little branch cafe. That it's just tons of clothes, and I kind of like to think of it like a treasure hunt. And if I find something, I don't call it second, or
Secondhand.
whatever, secondhand. I call it vintage.
Yes, right. Oh, you know, again,
Give it the sachet or cachet.
made like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, you found the coolest stuff. It's harder to find stuff now, but
Mhm,
I think it has to do with the decades of fashion.
mhm.
So, like, let's say 20 years ago, if you were thrift store shopping, you could find 50s, 60s, 70s stuff, which is like the best of all, right? It's totally wacky stuff. Now it's harder to find,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still, it is. It's harder to find that stuff, but still, it's yeah. I mean, I can't imagine walking into a clothing store and looking at the price tags. I would freak out. I mean, how on earth are you paying
Exactly.
$100 for a pair of jeans or something that you can get for $3.99? I mean, it just doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And that's like a big thing that I try to kind of fight or destigmatize the secondhand shopping thing, because I think a lot of people, it is associated with poverty. It's like, oh, only poor people will do that. But it's like, that's not inherently a bad thing, because it's actually better for all of us if we all did it.
right.
Not only you as like personally as an individual saving money in these times when, everything is getting more expensive and the wages are not going up, we could all benefit from saving some money too. But it's also like doing it for the good of all, um,
Right.
as opposed to, trying spending so much to just have something that's new or have something that's overpriced. Like with luxury fashion especially, it's like they're overpricing these items that are coming from like the same factories as a cheaper brand and just tagging this logo on it, and then getting people to pay an arm and a leg, and just helping, the 1%, the corporations and the people owning those corporations get more and more wealthy at the expense of literally everyone else.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We do have some comments, and we got Zockers in the house. What's up,
Oh, hey,
Zocker?
Zucker. Yay.
Says, nice shirt,
Arizona.
Sarah. Slow fashion for the win. Everyone needs
Yes.
to wear the piece.
Yes.
Zucker
Wear
is,
the
Zucker
piece.
is Arizona Green Party.
Arizona Green Party.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then I don't know how to say that name. El Cook. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
probably messing it up. Corporatization of our culture has been devastating.
I swear with the whole fashion thing, like my nephew was getting into high school age and buying a Christmas gift or something, right? And so I would ask my sister, "Oh, I've got these cool things," and she goes, "Yeah, but is it this brand or this brand or this brand?" I was like, "No." She goes, "He's not gonna, he won't touch it," and it's really sad that that in young folks the mindset of it has to be a specific brand that's been so damaging. And of course the brands that they have to have are the things where it's $150 for one t-shirt or something, right? And again, that the
Exactly.
propaganda has been astounding in fashion, and it's too bad that that's seems to be they still have a stranglehold on that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think honestly, in the digital age, like it's only made it worse, especially with like TikTok.
uh,
Um, I mean, there are so many sides to social media, just depending on your algorithm, it can be so vastly different. Like, I think an app like TikTok can be really good for mobilizing movements. If you're on like the right side of it, you'll get news quick, and um, I don't know, it can just really energize a movement for the better. So
yeah.
that's one good side of it. But I think the side I used to be on when I used to use it, I don't anymore, but the side I used to be on was just like overconsumption, craziness,
Oh,
where it's like it's so easy to consume, like not just the content, but it's like the link is right there. Just it's like the buy first, think later. That's what I feel like
Yeah.
the
oh,
side of the internet that I was on. And
yeah.
yeah, I'm just realizing more and more like how damaging that is, especially for younger people that are more easily impressionable. Um, to just be encouraged to just buy things you don't need and throw it away without thinking about the real implications that that has on our environment and our society as a whole.
Mm.
Yeah. And you talked about, the constant barrage of the screens, and that's kind of like what makes you susceptible to that. You did Zucker's like I messaged the Green Party people if you aren't already subscribed to
Yes.
their channel.
Oh,
Where you been?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yes, we were watching them today to get
So
ready for
much.
the show. They're fantastic.
And I subscribed, and
Yes, I did too.
thank you.
Ari Magoo subscribed just today.
Hey,
The oligarchy owns 99.99% of the media in this nation, so that's why these kind of
Thank
shows
you.
and what you're doing is very, very important. And Justin B's in the house.
hey,
One,
all right.
thrifting is the way to go.
Yes.
Thank you
Oh
for
God,
waiting.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Let's make it cool again, right?
Yeah. Oh, it is.
exactly.
Oh no, actually, really, there was a store in Chicago. It's still around, called Unique, and every Monday was half price day. And I swear, like 7:30, a line would form, and all the cool kids were out there, like ready for half price day. Oh no, it's the cool place.
Well, next time I head up there, we'll go thrifting together.
Yes.
That sounds
Oh
like a
yeah.
plan. I
Oh,
always want to eat
definitely.
things when I go to the city.
Chicago.
like,
Yeah.
What's different here? What can I eat? That's me.
No,
But we can do that
thrifting is
too.
good. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wait. Full circle moment. We're back to talking about thrift shops. Macklemore.
Oh God, Macklemore. That I don't know, Sarah, if you've watched that speech he did recently about Palestine. I mean, we
haven't.
played it. I had not seen it. Edie warned me, and I cried on live on TV because it was really emotional. It was really powerful. I mean, Macklemore, yes, my new hero.
Yeah, I need to see that. I haven't.
It's
But
amazing.
I've been seeing like the work that he's been doing
Yeah.
for a while, and it's amazing.
We had it on one of our we do a Saturday at noon as well, and we played the whole thing. I'm like, you guys, I know I like to go long, but this one's totally worth it. Like we would play it for a bit, then we pause and we talk about it, but we ended up playing the whole thing. So if you look back and you see Macklemore's face, like I think it was only maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And on our Saturday show.
And I'm a musician, and so I noticed immediately that the rap talent is perfect for political speech because he's got the right emphasis. I mean, it's his rap background that gave him that talent, and oh my God, he's got it. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh wait, and now he's got a streaming service. Watermelon Pictures, the Encampments
that's
movie
right.
is a must see, definitely.
Yes, Encampments. Oh yes. Oh my God.
Yes. I'm so mad I wasn't able to see it because I know like they're going city by city and it's not staying for so long. But I
Oh.
thought I had more time. And then when I went to check, because I wanted to see it in DC because I'm really close to DC, and it's already not showing here anymore. But maybe I can catch it in another city.
It'll come back. Yeah,
Hopefully.
it'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll come around. Yeah.
Yeah. The world is waking up to big truths like Palestine.
Things are changing. Just this past week, we've been getting really positive news. I mean, they dropped that House bill that they had going that was going to it was going to be $1 million fine and like 10-year prison sentence for supporting BDS, for posting something on your social media around BDS. So, and they pulled a bill. So obviously there's pressure now coming from our side.
I know. Yeah, that was scary hearing that be presented because I can't say that I had the most faith that it was going to get pulled.
Right.
It's just, oh, is this going to be our new reality?
Yeah.
But I mean, crazy things have been happening, so it's really not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, thankfully it's not because that's insane.
And I think yesterday the judge, I don't even have the names, but of the professor, they've been ordered to release him from jail. And he just was, again, just doing your regular pro-Palestine protests, just the regular stuff.
Oh, the guy with the wife, Mahmoud Khalil?
Oh, no.
No,
Another
the
guy.
other.
Yep,
Okay.
another guy, but I'm forgetting the name. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to bring it up in terms of positive. There's some positive.
Oh, the girl. We talked about that
No,
from Tufts University.
Yeah, but this is a third person.
Third
Yeah,
person.
there's another one. Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Soccer knows.
Yeah.
Soccer's got it down.
Badar Khan Suri. Okay.
There we go.
Thank you, Soccer. Thank you.
We have the best commenters.
Yes.
Yes.
Way more knowledgeable than us. Yes.
So, and that ties back into the military industrial complex, right? I mean, BDS is trying to like stop us from supporting that.
Right.
now Israel's on the front lines of that. So you had a lot of stuff to say about that. We could probably go the rest of the show on that one, right?
Mm.
Yeah, oh my gosh. There is so much to be said about that. And yeah, that's one of my, I think, one of my more recent uploads. I tried to do like an explainer on it. And I remember as I was like researching it, it's just so overwhelming because it's so deeply embedded in like every aspect of our society, and all these corporations are somehow kind of tied into this. But I tried to just narrow it or simplify it, I'll say, so that it could
Mhm.
be, easily digestible. Like I try to do my videos in a way that is like, if someone had never heard of these things, they'd be able to like understand it and sit through it. Um, but yeah, it's crazy how much of our tax dollars is just like siphoned for these private contractors that are then creating these tanks and missiles that go on to devastate places like Palestine. And obviously, it's been other places for decades, because the empire loves to do these type of things. But yeah, um, yeah, and it's basically like five main companies that have kind of monopolized the entire private contractor defense industry, which is like the big ones that
I
we
feel
all
like we could
know.
almost name them without looking, like
Yeah.
Boeing,
Yeah, like
Halliburton. Those two. There's two.
Northrop Grumman,
Northrop Grumman.
RTX, or Raytheon.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Raytheon.
you always see those buildings. At least for me, like living so close to DC, I see their buildings everywhere. They have
Yeah.
so many buildings around here. Um, but yeah, I think from the research that I was doing for that video, I remember seeing that like in the 90s, I think under the Clinton administration was when he passed a bill that kind of allowed for a lot of these competing defense companies to consolidate to like make the industry more efficient and to save the government money. But obviously, as years have gone on, we've seen that it's been the exact opposite. And now they don't have competition anymore to like keep quality high and prices low. And instead they just keep they can get away with charging the government more and more for these same services because there's no competition anymore.
Right.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, monopolization is just a byproduct of capitalism.
Yes.
So it's like
Capitalism.
always
What's that little phrase you say? Do you get it yet, or something like that?
oh, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, is it
But
making
no, it's
sense
so
yet?
true. And I could, I'm a little on the older side, and I could remember when like the Democrats used to like be the anti-war party, and they are so far from that. They don't even pretend to be that anymore. They don't even try to pretend. I mean, every Democrat is voting for, bomb funding and the defense budget. They're always voting for all of that. They're pro the Ukraine war to continue. I mean, most of them voted to bomb and starve Palestinians. So 99% of them did. So no, I mean, that's why we need the Green Party so badly. I mean, we would actually be an anti-war party. There isn't one that's running anything right now. That's been decades since we had something that was even called anti-war.
Yeah, and it's like the reason why they support it so unanimously is because that's who's funding them.
Yes.
Because these corporations, not just them, but also even like the chemicals corporation does the same thing. These really harmful corporate complexes. The prison industrial complex is another one. Like these are like capitalist complexes that aren't actually doing anything to benefit society, but they've become so powerful that it doesn't matter and they can do it anyways. And then they essentially buy the government, they buy politicians, and that's another byproduct of capitalism because they're able to be bought because they also need to survive and they need money to be able to do what they're doing.
Right.
So the politicians that are going to end up being successful and winning the elections are the ones that have the most money, and who has the most money to give them are these really powerful corporations. So yeah, it's like, of course they're going to vote for these spending bills that are record high
Yeah.
amount.
They're not their donors, they're their owners, right? And
Exactly.
if you watch election coverage, it's all about the horse race and the money. It's not about the policies, not about what you do if
Mhm.
you win, any of that. But yeah, you're right, Ari. It's a war economy.
It actually is. And it again, people don't think about it. They just hear
Mhm.
things and they don't really think. I mean, the idea of a private prison system should freak everyone out. It should freak
Exactly.
them out. You understand that is a for-profit system. That company needs to make a profit for their shareholders, right? So
Yeah.
what that means, and like, I just thought of Biden right at the very end of his term. He pardoned the judge that had been caught taking money for arrest for putting people in jail. I mean, that's part of that system, right? They
Mhm.
need more people in prison. So that's why, especially young black men, they're just arresting them by in the thousands upon thousands because they want to feed that prison system. I mean, it's
Yeah,
horrible that
it's
we
insane.
privatize that.
Yeah, and I think like it's one of those things that even has become normal that like I don't know, maybe people aren't even asking questions about it anymore, but it's crazy that that is allowed to happen because that's real people's lives being like turned into a commodity for these prisons, and then they source like cheap labor there. So a lot of
Oh,
major companies like
Kamala
outside of
Harris.
military.
Kamala Harris did that in California.
right,
She
right.
paid people a dollar an hour or $1 a day from the
Dollar day
Yeah,
$1 a day
to
to
fight
be
fires.
firefighters.
Right.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she kept
yeah.
people in jail for that reason because they were doing a release program for nonviolent offenders, and she blocked that because she wanted more people in there. And firefighting wasn't just the only industry. There are so many companies that use prisoners at beyond slave labor. I mean, that was that concept how our prison system replaced slavery. That's what happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, even in the 13th Amendment,
right.
it's outlawed slavery except as a crime, as a punishment for crime. But then what is crime? The lines become so blurred. That's why like marginalized populations, black and brown people, end up being the ones that are committing more crimes, but
Yeah.
it's just because they are more heavily criminalized for like, similar offenses. So the whole thing is just so problematic and needs to be like taken apart, not even reformed, but like taken apart
Right.
and
No,
put back
destroyed.
together.
We need a do
Yeah,
over.
No,
exactly.
we have to get rid of profits, private, prison
Yeah.
system for profit. That
Yeah.
Well,
needs to be
and there's something else that I
illegal.
don't think a lot of people
Illegal.
realize is if you're charged with something, you can get picked up and put in jail while you're waiting for your hearings. So
Right.
you're doing time already before you're even convicted of something.
Right.
If you don't
Yep.
have family that can make sure you're bailed out. And not everybody has that kind of money, even if you have your family.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not cheap.
Oh yeah, no, the
Yeah.
phone calls, the families have to pay for all the phone calls. Yeah, no, and it's at really exorbitant rates. Oh, it's a horrific system that they've got.
Yeah,
A
we've got a
horrific-
lot of good comments.
Yeah,
We can win races with our values, but it takes a lot of discipline to run that kind of campaign. Money is needed to run a campaign, but it's not everything.
yeah. No, it is
Thanks,
true.
Justin. Speaking of
Yes.
money, got my little QR up
Bing,
there.
bing.
Bing.
So that
So we did this a while back at the convention. $100 challenge. Anybody watching? Let's go. ilgp.org/or / donate.
and you know what? We need to have different QR codes ready for because we want to certainly help Andy Ellis. And so yeah,
Right?
we gotta work on it. I'm ready to get it down. Have
And
QR codes ready.
and my last plug is we are 20 people away from our 500 subscriber goal. So
Yay.
everybody tell 2 friends. Let's go. And back to the regularly scheduled program here.
Yes. That was our commercial.
Yeah.
So, you also have some stuff. I mean, you did have a viral video talking about the dumbing down of
Wow.
America, which I didn't get to watch. I was short on time. I watched a lot, all the shorts. I watched the one about the fast fashion. But explain to me why that one went so big, or do you even
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think the reason why it went so big is because of the times we're living in. I
Mm.
think more and more people are catching on to something that's been brewing for a while, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Or like, I don't know, things are just exploding over, like even with Palestine, that's making a lot of maybe apolitical people political, if that makes sense. So it's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and even with like climate catastrophe, it's like things are coming closer and closer to our front doors so that we can no longer live in our bubble the same way maybe we used to. And so I think topics like the video you mentioned, the dumbing down of America, and I did another one on like hyper individualism and overconsumption that tend both of those got a lot of engagement, I think, because these are ideas that a lot of people are already thinking about in their own lives.
Mhm.
And this is kind of just adding on to that. So yeah, that video was the one you mentioned was about like the idea of anti-intellectualism and
Yeah.
just how we've kind of created these systems um, that make our population really like distracted with like consumption of mindless media or even like unnecessary tangible things like clothes um, to like soothe this deeper emptiness of real intellectual stimulation. So that was like the idea. But then there's also I talked about the way that anti-intellectualism is weaponized by like political extremism. So
Mm.
far right and even like far left can also weaponize it to just attack intellectual populations, like attacking public facing intellectuals that speak out against anything that goes against the government's agenda, which is like what's happening now with Palestine. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, like any intellectual that is very educated about a certain topic, say like climate change, um, or even economics. And when they take their expertise and they speak out against the ruling government and what they're doing, how they just get struck down, which is what we're seeing happen now. And it's been happening for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I loved in your piece, your long form video when you were talking about like how people didn't know the countries on a map. And I think that really does spread into like people not knowing about China, about Cuba, about communist places that have been very successful. And because I think it is true that they don't, there's a lot of information that they don't want put out there. They don't want us comparing our country to other countries because
Exactly.
there's a harsh reality out there. Certainly, yeah, we present the coolest movies and the coolest music and all this, the culture stuff we got. But then when it comes to quality of life, we're not good. We're not good at all. And so I think that that's part of it is they just don't want people thinking about the realities and right, doing real intellectual work of just studying things, history. They want us to not know about history, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy that it works. And like we're living in this reality where like that has worked to the point where you can, talk to, I don't know, average people and they just don't understand certain things. Like even understanding like what capitalism is. I feel like a lot of people might not be able to tell you what that is, or they might not be able to tell you what communism is. They've just been injected with this
Yeah.
belief that it's bad. And that goes back to like Edie, what you were saying in the beginning, that quote of like, what do you learn in school? How to, what was
Um,
it? How to think or how to
did
believe?
you learn how to believe or how to think?
Did you learn how to believe or how to think? Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like they just feed us these things that they want us to believe without actually thinking about why it makes sense to us. And so, yeah, going back to what you were saying, Scott, of like um, the majority of us have just absorbed these beliefs about like China, that's a big one, right now, without actually understanding or really knowing anything about it.
Or going to learn from the people that have done the research, like Gray Zone or Chris Hedges, or like the people that have been there and they understand the complexity. It's like you start talking to certain folks, they like, oh, I don't care about politics. It's like they don't have time until it comes to their door and it becomes personal. It takes away somebody they love. Like, the healthcare system is
Right.
constantly,
And
what is it like? Years ago, it was 67,000 people die a year. So it's probably double by now.
and climate catastrophe, it's coming to everyone's
Mhm.
door. I just, I always obsessively have the weather station going, and they show, I don't even know what city it is, somewhere out west, 110 degrees today. I mean, early May, 110 degrees. I mean, we're having a massive heat wave. There's fires in Minneapolis. I mean, these things that are,
Tornadoes everywhere.
right. You wouldn't have heard these stories. 6-inch hail balls coming down. I mean, it's just insane what's coming around. And it's just, like you said, it's coming to people's doorsteps now. It just is. That's just one of the things that come to people's doorsteps.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like people try to be apolitical, or they try to be like, oh, I don't engage in that, but everything is political. And I think more and more people are going to be forced to realize that.
You sound like me, like 10 years ago. I used to go into work, and that's back when I thought Bernie Sanders was actually going to do something, but apparently that wasn't the case. I got fooled for a minute. But I'd be like, well, I don't really care about politics. I'm like, well, that has everything to do with how much you get paid, your working conditions. I'm applying it to why we can't get a union here. The quality of your food, how much it costs. They're so afraid to engage because I don't know if it's that they're afraid they're going to look unintelligent or something, instead of just listening and asking questions. That's how you learn stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it is the case. I mean, I kind of really dig into the foreign policy stuff, and I do think that a lot of people, they just don't want to engage because it does take a lot of work to get all the information. I think one thing in my path I have found, when you see the pattern, that's when you start to, it becomes a little easier. That our deep state CIA is going to be
like,
in those countries, like funding those terrorists. I mean, they're talking about it with Burkina Faso right now. I mean, he's on his big tour. It's so cool. Ibrahim, Traore is on a tour, and he's going to Russia, and he's talking about the same things. He has to fight the terrorists. Who's funding those terrorists? Probably the U.S. and France are the ones fighting funding those terrorists. We'll find that stuff out years later, but the patterns are there. The patterns are there, and I think that's where foreign policy becomes a little easier to grasp.
And that ties into your bit about the corporate mass media.
Yeah, I think that's another one of those corporate complexes that's like so deeply embedded in everything. And yeah, doing research for that was so heavy because I think it's easy to like start to feel helpless in the face of this, where it's like, wow, they really own everything. Like one of the comments I think earlier said like what was it? Like the corporate oligarchy owns 99.99% of the media, which is true. Yeah, like that's another industry that's been really heavily monopolized, where it's like I forget who it is. I know Fox Corporation is a big one. Can't remember now the other ones. News Corp.
Turner, maybe. I don't know who's doing it, but I do remember that they used to say six people decide almost everything you see, hear, and read. 6 people. Well, there's Bezos.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Washington Post.
Yeah.
But we had a question that I wanted to put to all of us Greens here.
Okay.
So Ari, doing away with big money for political candidates should a big Green Party point, like running on a limited amount of dollars. No more votes for mega billionaires.
Yeah, I think that we're trying to certainly make that, part of folks' campaigns. I just know Andy Ellis, talks about that a lot, as does Butch Ware. Yeah, no, and I remember again, decades ago when the Democrats, that was an issue, not taking super PAC money, and they gave that up decades ago. So no, there's no doubt. I mean, for the Democrats to say, "Oh, we only use the good billionaires," oh my God. I mean, that's, again, that's the level of patheticness that
I
is the
know.
Democratic
And
Party.
yeah, and they've taken that phrase of like fight the oligarchy. But like you are the oligarchy. So what do you mean?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really sad, isn't it?
It is. The Democrats are really pretty pathetic because, right, they don't have anything left. They just don't.
Yeah.
And they got rid of David Hogg, right? They just fired him. Am I
Oh,
saying
did
his name
they?
right? Yeah, I think they got. Oh my God! It was classic Democratic Party. The reason they said they got rid of him because they didn't get the gender balance that they were looking for because he's male. That was the reason that they
It's
got rid
because
of
he
him.
was going to primary their golden children, their golden gooses.
Right.
Yeah, you nailed it, Sarah. You can't fight the oligarchy when you are the oligarchy.
I mean,
Exactly. But that's how they work, I think. Like the two parties, they kind of, it's like they're the same thing, they're the same entity, but they like
yes.
divide and conquer us
Mhm.
so that we think, the people that are heavily Democrat just point the finger at the Republicans and vice versa. So they just fight each other without actually changing anything or
Right.
changing
Yeah.
society for the majority of the population. That's why we just end up like in the same, I don't know, like not making progress and actually regressing in some ways.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The lesser
Right.
of evil still gets you some evil, and it gets more evil every time because you allowed it.
Exactly.
I love to see people's faces when I'll say something against one, and they'll throw the other one at me. I'm like, well, I don't like them either. And then they
Exactly.
don't know what to do with me. They're like, I don't know what box to put you in. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah, I know, but I'm hoping that like, I don't know, over the next few years it can really start to transform and we really work towards like a true multi-party democracy with the Greens and even with like other parties
Mhm.
that, are fighting for specific issues because that's what it's all supposed to be about. Where it's like multiple parties and they have these
Yeah.
things that are important to them and we can all come to the table and like compromise and brainstorm how to like make things happen as opposed to just being stagnant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to have hope. It's hard sometimes,
It is.
but
Yeah, it is. Yeah, come to the table and get done the things that we all agree on, and then work out the things that we don't agree on later. Democrats
Mhm.
take money from the gun lobby and the NRA just exactly like the GOP. That's the reason David Hogg got big
Oh,
tax.
interesting. I had not heard that one. That's interesting.
Alexandria. What's up, Alexandria? Well, if the Democratic Party won't welcome David, I think we sure as heck would.
That the thing is, the difficulty is you really have to have the heart to be able to say, okay, I'm going to do this in a mostly volunteer situation. I'm sure David got a nice salary for his job right there, right? So but it is true. If he was really committed, he, would do the right thing. There's a couple other people that, we look at and we're like, you should probably be in the Green Party. I'm thinking of the woman from Ohio, who
Nina Turner.
Nina Turner. I would read her Twitter feed, and it was just everything that's wrong with the Democratic Party. It's like, Nina, we're here. Hey.
Yeah. Lars makes a good point. They not only get votes and support for the Democrats, they impede and stop any progress outside of the duopoly.
That is for
talking
sure.
about Bernie and AOC. She's the next heir apparent, by the way.
Yeah,
because she sold out big time.
Yeah.
And it is interesting, all of them, like Cinema and AOC, how they come right from the Green Party. That's the kind of scary thing. Both of them were very involved with the Green Party a few years back, and look what they turned into. That's the thing. At some part, it's the heart. Are you gonna take the right path, or are you going to go to the dark side? And AOC
And
and
that's what
Cinema
that's what
went
we
to the
have.
dark side.
Yeah, that's what we have, right?
It's
Right, Sarah?
Yeah.
it's true, and I get it. The career's, fun and you make that money. I mean, but things
Yeah.
are getting too serious, right? Climate catastrophe. Things are getting way too serious. We can't sustain this.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes people sell out because they think that, I don't know, maybe they think they can better make change within the system, so they try to just like get in there and be the voice of good, but it's not going to work that way. You have to actually like topple the system. You can't work with them anymore.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, been there, done that. And by
exactly.
the way, happy birthday, Dr. Jill Stein. If
Yes.
Happy
Yes.
birthday.
I saw that. I think Scott posted it
Yeah.
somewhere. I shared it. Yeah. Yeah. So and you want a good job, get elected to office. You can do good and make a little money.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Be a candidate. Fight hard and do that.
yeah.
So is there, I mean, we still got like 14 minutes or so. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you're dying to talk about?
Oh, no. I guess
Name
like,
one.
yeah, I don't know. I think when you brought up like the corporate mass media thing, I was kind of talking about like the helplessness feeling, which I feel like, once you start learning about these systems, learning about these corporate complexes and about the duopoly and how deeply embedded like this oligarchy is, it can be easy to feel like, wow, well, there's nothing I can do anyways, so let me just look away. But
Right.
I'm really trying to like challenge that narrative. Like, no, there is, like, we can do something and we are powerful as individuals. And I don't know, I mean, educating ourselves is the first step. Well, actually, I think the real first step is like believing that we can make change, and then educating ourselves and like taking small actions, because I think there's so many of us that I guess maybe a lot of us have disengaged and have just convinced ourselves that we are powerless in the face of these things. But there's so many of us that if we all did like a small thing, I don't know, locally, or got involved in some type of mutual aid organization, or just decided to like withhold our money from oppressive corporations, like, I don't know, to me, these are like small actions we can all do, like starting right now, then we could really make change quicker than we think. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
is that?
Well, I was going to say, Edie, I wanted you to say Zucker's quote that you love to say, since he's here tonight.
The Green Party. We got this from Zucker. Hope
Yes.
you're still listening. We are the electoral arm of the social justice movement. And I keep saying, don't leave any tools in the box, because we have to dismantle the system in order to build something better.
Yes.
You know, I had something else, but he distracted me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, but it's a good one. Oh, I want to talk about my shirt and why I'm wearing Green Day today.
Oh, okay.
So at one of their concerts, I saw video footage where they are talking about Palestine on stage.
Yes.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It was during that song, and I'm like, I've been a fan, since the beginning. Since they began, is what I said. I love to rhyme things. I'm so silly.
Oh, and Ariel's in the house. Yay.
Ariel's in the house.
Hey.
Well, thank you for this wonderful guest, Ariel.
Yes. Well, and you know what? I think the kind of the most exciting thing is just to hear your story about how you came to the Green Party and you found like it's the place to be, because that's the thing. I mean, yes, it's discouraging out there. But what I love about the Green Party is that it is the place that you can be to try to make some real change, as overwhelming as things are.
Said keep speaking up for Palestine.
Absolutely.
We've never stopped. I still go to the weekly protest. But Lars has a question that has a complicated answer. I also wanted to say, related to the last question, is that when you sign on to be a candidate at the Green Party, you have to say, pledge that you will not take corporate and oligarchy and what is it, super PAC money.
Super PAC. Yeah, super PAC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is the Green Party on every ballot in the nation? I doubt it, but I don't know.
Well, that is the battle, Lars, that we go through, is that each state has a different set of laws around access to the ballot. Illinois is brutal. I don't know how it is in Maryland, and if you're familiar with it yet, Sarah, but and the thing is, Jill Stein's campaign was very successful. I think we are in 45 of the 50 states or somewhere around that, but way above what the Electoral College would require for you to win the presidency. But yeah, it's a difficult task. Here, it was a 25,000 signature minimum, which really meant that you needed to get about 50,000 because the Democratic Party will challenge you in court. At least in Illinois, the Democratic Party will challenge you. In other states, the Republican Party will probably challenge you. But in either case, and they look at every signature and they try to destroy everyone. So the whole ballot access, the signature gathering, petitioning is a big process of what we do at the Green Party. And it's a huge task. But when a presidential candidate comes around that really excites people, we can do really well.
Thanks, Lars. The Green Party is the only movement outside of the duopoly that is built on a foundation without it's
Yes.
regular people donor money,
Right?
It's people
And-
like me.
But the reality is that you are absolutely correct. It's mostly people voluntary. It's 99% voluntary.
Both parties are traitors. Good to see you again. So they got a question for you, Sarah. I just arrived. Are you running for office, Sarah?
Yes, Sarah.
You're like, not yet,
Oh
right?
my
We want to
God.
hear this.
Yeah.
We want
I
some
don't
breaking
know.
news. We want breaking news here.
Yes, I'm announcing my campaign. No, that is something that like I get comments on that too, and even like people in my personal life saying that that's something I should do one day. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm built for like the politician life. Maybe like behind the scenes more, but I don't know. It's something that I've been thinking about. Like I'd probably start small, local, doing something that feels more manageable while I learn about learn the ropes. But yeah, it's something I'm thinking about in the back of my head, especially as I get more and more passionate about these issues, and like it starts to feel unbearable to like not take any action. It's like I have to do something,
Yes.
So it's like maybe one day.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was saying the same thing about how many months ago, Scott? And then
I know. And then I kind of convinced Edie to run for office, statewide office, by the way. But that's a different situation. It's just unique in Illinois because we can have 7 statewide candidates on one petition. So that's why we really kind of push the statewide candidates. But you're right, you can do smaller local, but Edie's going for lieutenant governor in Illinois. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready.
yes.
wish me luck.
That's
I got a
amazing.
vote last week. Somebody said they were going to vote for me.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Yes,
I'm like, there's one.
And Alexandria Keating-Sofiakis, who's in the House, she will be running in District 10 for Congress with the Illinois Green Party.
Amazing.
Like,
Okay.
it's Brad Schneider.
Brad Schneider, he's a nightmare. He's a Zionist supporter and just
Oh.
horrible, just the
Tomato,
worst of the
tomato.
worst. The worst of the worst. So yes,
Yeah.
go Alexandria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Dick Durbin's not running for re-election, which opens up our Senate spot a little
Right.
bit.
Right.
Nice.
And supposedly the person who is now lieutenant governor is running for that spot. So that'll make it better for Edie. Go Edie.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are inspiring me.
Yeah. You
Thank
should.
you.
You really
Thank
should. You should do it. You should
Well,
do it.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like you look around, like you like, oh, this person would be good, and you go talk to them. They're like, I don't know, and eventually you discover, well, I seem to be the most passionate person about it, so I'll
Right.
give it a
Why
shot
don't
and see what
do it?
happens. Yeah.
Right. And the best thing is that the motivation is correct. You have the right motivation. The motivation is not, wow, I can be famous in the Democrats and have a career and be, everybody know me on the street and go to the that stupid fashion show that they just had, like
The Met
AOC did,
Gala.
the Met Gala with a dress, yeah. No, but the
Yeah.
wrong motivations completely. So no, you're in for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like we need more people with these motivations to be getting in there and infiltrating the system. So if we really want to be able to change it.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. And that's why there's a home at the Green Party, because you can come here, you can express what you're passionate about, you can work on it, and you have people that will help you,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big reason why I joined too, because it's already like the infrastructure is there as opposed to oh, thanks. um as opposed to kind of feeling like you're on your own fighting for social justice and change and just feeling like you're going crazy inside of your own head seeing the horrible things that are happening. But when you can join a community and like an entity that's already doing that work, it not only takes away like some of the load from yourself, but it gives you that sense of community that like no, there are people also fighting the same fight, so maybe we can actually win. So yeah, it's kind of like I wanted to be a part of this group to learn but to also bring what I know so that we can just have like a symbiotic relationship towards like a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well said.
And yes, and everyone, we want you to go check out Andy Ellis. I don't remember his website. I think we have it in
Hang
the
on,
banner.
I'll find it.
But yeah, I mean, he is amazing, and I think it's wonderful that he's running for governor of Maryland, and that's great that you went to his first inauguration. I mean, the inauguration. Boy, am I thinking that. But yeah, no, his campaign. Go to that too, please. Go to his inauguration.
We're just gonna go ahead and call it.
No, he's wonderful. He was on Green Live Stream, and yeah, we had a blast. So yeah, no, it is fun. It is really, that's the cool thing about the Green Party. It's a fun place, and all of us do both. We definitely do all of the protests, or as many as we can. We try to do both because both are important. Protesting for single events is really an important thing, but this is like an ongoing project to get people involved. So that's why Edie and I love being here at the Green Party.
Mm-hmm. We really do. There's a question.
Okay.
Someone said that the oligarchy owns the whole electoral process. Do you agree?
I'm going to make a comment, and I think that yes, it looks like they own it, but all it takes, I talk about it a lot, is the psychology of voting. All someone has to do is really think on an individual level that they're just going to say, me as a person, I can vote any way I want. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. I can go into that little private booth and I can vote for the right thing. And that's all it takes. Then all the money in the world won't make a difference. I mean, I know, it's not a great example, but the Democratic candidate this past time spent over $1 billion and didn't win. So it is possible. I know the stats are like the more money always wins the election, but it doesn't have to be. That's the voter. That's the voter. If we can get to the voter and get them to realize that.
Yeah, I'll say one thing. I remember what I was going to say earlier. What can I do? Said 7 billion people.
Exactly.
And the largest voting bloc in the United States is the non-voter. So I believe at the Green Party, we give them something to vote for. They're going to come out, and then we can win. Exactly. So we have just a couple minutes left. Sarah, would you like to close us out with any talking about? Hang on, I'll put your thing back up. Your website and your Instagram. There you go.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess, what was I gonna say? I really agree with what you both just said about that, which kind of goes back to what I was saying about like not feeling helpless and not disengaging, because a lot of us want the same things, and if we took action on those things, we can make change really fast. So yeah, I think it's just about believing in our own power as an individual and banding together, and we could revolutionize these systems. But yeah, so I have hope. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Yes, Sarah,
and go subscribe to Sarah, Sarah Maria.
The Sarah Maria on YouTube.
Yay.
video essays where I talk all about the horrors of capitalism, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, a
great.
bunch of topics. Yeah, and it's funny you guys brought up the Met Gala because I just did my
Oh.
last video was on that and like the Met Gala, class elitism and romanticizing it and just how like gross it all is. So
It
yeah,
is.
go check that out.
And the thing is, fashion's great, but get your fashion from a thrift store.
Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
stop.
Because it's all a
Like, I challenge
performance.
you.
And
Yeah, you
I
can
I
be
challenge you to go
creative.
find something cool at your thrift store
Right.
tomorrow.
yes, that
Let's
is
go.
the homework here. Yeah.
Well, and everybody tune in on Saturday for our news of the week
Yes.
at noon. And we
Central.
will see you next time. Central, sorry.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. And thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising.